everyone, welcome to Awaken the Rebel. I'm Shireen Thor. I'm so happy you're here with us today because we have like a really interesting guest. We have Dr. Corinne Devin with us. Welcome.
Hi.
It's so fun for me to introduce her to you guys because she's just got an interesting life, and I feel like in the beginning of Awaken the Rebel, we really were all focused on rebelling against 9 to 5 and living this extraordinary life. And then I became a mom and desperately wanted stability and calm and was more of a contractor. And so we've been bringing more and more stories about people who are creating an extraordinary life, but not necessarily through entrepreneurship. So I would love to hear, Corinne, from you. Tell us just a little bit about your life, where you live, what you do, all the things.
Well, I should say ciao or buonasera because I am hailing from Italy or Italia. And I am actually a board certified orthodontist in the United States Navy. So I have the honor and the privilege of treating active duty and all their families on a base located in Sicily. So cool. That is currently where I'm at right now. And because of being in the military, I get the awesome opportunity of traveling literally all over the world. 2 nights ago, I just got back from the Costa del Sol in España, known as Malaga.
Wow. Okay, so everyone's listening. Everyone that's listening is totally jealous. That's awesome. Okay, so tell us more, because I also know from a little birdie that you compete in pageants.
I do. And you know what the crazy thing is? I was never one of those girls who was a tear in tots, who watched the Miss America since I was 5 years old. No, I was 23 years old in dental school, dared to do pageants by some classmate. I won't call him a chauvinist pig because I actually like him now, but who told me I couldn't do it, and I had to prove him wrong. And so no one would ever believe here you are studying in dental school and you're going to go do a pageant when you're already studying up the grind, have no free time. But to me, it was my outlet. It was my way to escape. And it's been that for the last 15 years.
Gosh, you know what's crazy is I know that our mutual friend Laurel House is the one who introduced us, but talking to you right now, you actually really remind me of her. I feel like I'm talking to another Laurel right now.
Well, that's a huge compliment. I take it. And if you met me, you probably think that we're sisters because we are both petite blondes, but also a force not to reckon with, I would dare to say.
Right? I love that so much. That is so fun. I love that you got dared by a chauvinist pig who's now somebody that you like.
Yes.
But you took him up on it. And obviously it's something you ended up liking because you continue to do it now, right?
Absolutely. It started off with me doing the Miss Nevada pageant, and 3 years later I won, and then I come into the Navy. And most people don't realize in the Navy, and especially the U.S. military, where I like to think of as kind of the forerunners, the pioneers, only 18% of the United States Navy is made up of female officers today. That's
Wow.
Numbers of 2019. And so for me, one of the reasons I joined the Navy was they offered a scholarship to pay for dental school. And so for me, having that weight lifted off of that financial burden really gave me the opportunity to focus and dive into other things I was passionate about. Being in the military, we travel all over the world. And some places we go may not be on people's bucket list, like the Middle East. But it's those experiences that really can change you and appreciate things. For example, I was deployed in Iraq, and I remembered when I came home, I was so grateful for a radio. I was so grateful for a toilet that flushed, or real silverware, things that we just take for granted. But it just gives you a new appreciation on life. And that's, for me, that's what's been great about my career. It's made me look at life completely different.
That is so amazing, honestly. And really actually just so, I don't know, just creative and interesting and rebellious and all the things, because I don't know, I just love that you created a creative solution. A lot of people know what they want to do, and then they will just go into the debt, and then they're sort of on the hamster wheel, that begins their rat race where they have so many bills to pay that they just stick to whatever job that they don't love. But I feel like you kind of early on, how did you come up with this idea actually? Where did it come from? Is this something that somebody told you, or you just heard of it from resource? Because it's interesting to me how people find different ways to get what they want.
So my dad was a dentist in the Navy, but if you told me at 8 years old that I would be deploying and doing his job, I'd be like, no, you're crazy. But how I got into dentistry was really me going to elementary schools with my father and volunteering and seeing kids. I saw this one little girl, 8 years old, who, when she finally opened her mouth, her permanent molars were rotted down to the bone. And that's really what jump-started my career, saying, this is Nevada. This is not Cambodia. This is not some third world country. This is my hometown. I want to be part of the solution. And I knew the more education, the more credentials I had behind me would really give me a stronger voice and give me more platforms to really touch more people. And so going to dental school is incredibly expensive. And I mean, most people don't realize, but a lot of my colleagues are in debt anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million. And to know that I had that taken care of. And as a result, I got a paying job when I graduated. Yes, I don't make as much as some of my classmates, but I don't live going to the same place every day in, day out. Some days I'm seeing patients. Some days I'm picking up an AK-47 and defending my country. Or I'm with a group of Marines who catch bullets for me. They catch bullets for me. I mean, you can't ask for a more grateful group of people. And I tell people, this isn't, my opinion. It's not the Navy's opinion, but to have family outside of your own family when you're the other part of the world is priceless. Absolutely priceless.
My goodness, that's beautiful. It just sounds like you've really found, for a long time actually, like your path. And not only were you like sort of ushered into a beautiful career from your father, but also like now you really have this, like you said, this family outside of your family. It's so good. It's so good because I feel like so many times what happens is we all get sort of disillusioned. We graduate college, we get in a desk job. We don't know who we are or who our family is or where we belong. And it's actually really just disconnecting and sad. And then we get something out of social media, but we don't really get satiated from social media. And it just sounds to me like you have created a really full life, which is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. No, I would definitely tell people it didn't come without a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices. There was times in school where I thought I was going to lose it all because I suffered with test anxiety, and I really had to be vulnerable and swallow my pride and go to people and ask for help. And that's something that I still do today. If there's something I'm struggling on, if you don't know, get the resources, ask for help, get the people, hire them. I mean, it seems so cliche to say that, but sometimes doing something simple as asking people for help, even though it may seem like a weakness, it's really going to elevate you to a better place than where you currently are. And I can't say that more of what's happened in my career, both in the Navy, in pageants, in relationships, everything.
I completely agree. I think that's so beautiful, actually. And I don't think that was a skill that I learned until I became a mom, where you're at. Also, my pregnancies are very dramatic. Like I'm put on bed rest because I'm at risk for preterm labor. So literally a doctor is telling me, you need to lay on your back to have a healthy baby. And so through that experience, I was able to go like, oh, well, I guess that means I need help. I need someone else to watch my toddler. I need someone else to be able to like lift this thing for me. And so it was like a painful way to learn what you're talking about. Just in the sense that it was, I think it's hard especially when you're a strong, independent woman or even man, where you're so used to doing things on your own, being self-sufficient. But sometimes asking people for help and kind of showing people that side of you, like, hey, you know what, I'm not perfect. It actually makes you more relatable, more human. One thing that I struggle a lot with in Italy is when I have to prep for a competition. Like I'm getting ready for a competition right now, and I can't eat pasta or pizza or wine. And did I mention I live in Italy, where this country is known for its food? So a few months out of the year, I have to give it all up, even though it is everywhere. So it's, I think when people understand that, or I have to learn how to cook, because over here in Europe, we eat very, very late. People realize, oh my gosh, the struggle is real. You have to do things. Things are just easily handed to you. And that's something I definitely want to share with your audience. Like, the Navy is great. I love the opportunities, and for me, exploring travel, being able to go to places, ride water buffaloes in Vietnam, or this past weekend I was in Spain, or in 2 weeks I'm going to Croatia. Trips here are a lot easier and they're cheaper because it's like in the United States, you're flying California to Texas, But it also comes with a sacrifice that I'm away from my family and friends. I'm 9 hours ahead of everyone who I know, love, and adore on the West Coast. And so, it's making choices, deciding what's important to you and what your dreams are and what you're willing to sacrifice for them. Totally. Okay. So how did you figure out that like this life would give you what you wanted versus like a life in the West Coast? Because I know that means you probably really value like a sense of adventure and travel and freedom, but I'm sure there was like a learning curve to really learning that, outside of maybe, how did you figure that out?
Well, I think it's one, just writing down your goals, which I know sounds cliche, but one thing I've learned is, what's really important to you, because what we want in our 20s and in what we think we want in school versus once we're in our careers, the reality may be very different. And for me, the idea of going to the same place day in, day out wasn't as appealing. I didn't want to just kind of be, like you say, running a hamster wheel. And so the idea of travel, the idea of doing things outside the box of my profession, which means sometimes doing things that are unconventional, was really appealing to me, because I felt like that is where you truly grow as a person. Mm-hmm. But with that came with being very flexible, very resilient, such as when I found out that I was going to move to Italy, which is super exciting. I only had a 2-week notice to pack up my things and leave the country. And sometimes when you have to struggle or figure things out like that, it really makes you a stronger person looking back onto it. And also very grateful and thankful for every single person who helps you along the way. I still would love to go back to the West Coast. That is still my goal, to end up there someday, because I imagine the travel bug in me will be like, all right, I've seen everywhere. I'm ready to be in one place, but not quite yet.
Yeah, well, good for you. I mean, that's just so great that you are getting that sense of freedom, adventure, travel. You have the stability, which is like a miracle. I feel like sometimes it's really hard for people who love freedom or love thrill seeker and love that sense of adventure to get something stable and have their bills paid and like not actually struggle financially while they're going after all of the life that they want to live, So it's just really cool to hear that you have found a balance for you, and you still want to go back to the West Coast, and I'm sure that's on the horizon, but it's great that you're doing your thing right now. So tell me like a little bit about the pageants, because I'm hearing you say it's hard to not eat the pasta and not, have all the fun stuff, the desserts, whatever. But what is it about the pageants that has you going back and dealing with that like sacrifice you have to make?
For me, it's the camaraderie. Just like in the military, where you meet people who inspire you, who empower you, who push you to be better. That is what I've encountered in the pageants. I have met wonderful friends who have flown and visited me in Europe and Asia, who have sent me care packages when I was deployed in Iraq. And to me, to meet a group of women who you barely get to know, but send you things out of the pure kindness of their heart, is a really rare thing to find. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely one area that's caught me to get me go back. And another area is I love how it pushes me as a person. You look at a professional athlete, they have a trainer. Why? They're already an Olympic athlete, but they want to be better. It's the same thing with pageants. Learning how to fine tune your skills so that when you walk into a room, any room, you know how to relate to people, how to be not just relatable, but emotional, where you kind of make them think about you and not the next 50, women are walking through the room. Mm-hmm. I don't know what job that wouldn't be a fantastic skill to have, to learn how to be a really good speaker, but to be on point and poised, but also be someone where you're like, wow, that person impacted me. Like, mm-hmm. I just want to keep hearing her talking. And I've encountered a few people like that in the Navy, some of the admirals. So if I had to stay in the Navy longer, maybe that'll be one of my aspirations, is to have some stars on my shoulder. But when you come across people who are that gregarious, who really are congenial and open and make you feel like the only person in the room, even though there's 500 people, to me, that's just an inspiring thing to have and work towards.
That's so cool. I'm just really hearing that you have like a high value on and a high sense of reverence towards just really challenging yourself as a person and growing, becoming more of like who you can be, just like really reaching your potential, whether that's in the military or through travel and putting yourself out there. There's a certain sense of like risk and uncertainty that comes with traveling. Some people don't really like that. They're like, no, I'm good. I know where my car is or the bus stop is here, right here, my comfortable, like they're not willing to be in that. Gosh, you just have that spirit of it, like energy, adventure, and excitement and love for not only the challenge, but like kind of who that molds you into after the fact. And I think that that's something really special. I think that's just a special quality and something that can really carry you through really any challenge. Like life will give you challenges regardless if you go looking for them or not. So it's just kind of fun. It sounds to me like you're a little more proactive. Like you're like, hey, life, I'll find one. Like you don't need to give me new shit.
Yeah, I tend to go fishing a little too often probably, but I don't know. I feel like the first time you ever do something, it feels impossible. It feels like this huge, huge task, but then you keep doing it, you keep challenging yourself. And then it gets to the point where you're not even thinking about it. It becomes mindless. It becomes routine. And that's, I mean, I always, whenever I take care of kids in the military, that's, I always compare it to tying your shoes. As a kid, learning to tie your shoes, oh my gosh, it's like, you feel like you're climbing Mount Everest just trying to tie your shoe. And now, a year later, 6 months later, you can do it with your eyes closed, being turned around 3 times before.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's what it was like when I bought a car that was a stick shift before I knew how to drive a stick shift. And it felt like this crazy thing where I was like, I just bought a car, I don't even know how to drive. But then, you learn slow, you like make a few screw ups, and then you drive the stick shift when you're not even paying attention. Like, you don't even know how you got there. So it's just really true, that learning curve, like you said, in the beginning, it's intimidating and it feels really hard and like you don't know anything about it. So it's sort of scary in that way. And you learn it. And then one day you could do it with your eyes closed. It's like magic.
Well, I might need lessons from you because I cannot drive stick yet. And I will tell you, in Italy, that's all they drive, because here it is my personalized video game. So that's why I'm not learning to drive stick here, because it is downright scary. But,
oh my gosh, I can only imagine. But I do have an obsession with Vespas. Do you ever ride Vespas?
Not in this country. I value my life too much.
I like to live. Like, I'm willing to take a risk and do a challenge, but I don't want to die.
No. As if you ever see them, like today, they'll come down the opposite side of the road, like a game of chicken, or a Mexican standoff, except I call it an Italian standoff. And
nice.
I always tell people, I think when my parents came to visit me here, my dad was like, "Oh my gosh, you're getting so close." I'm like, "Don't worry, Dad, they're just really close to God."
That's exactly
It's a very devout Catholic country. They're very close to God. That's all I can say.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Okay, so for someone who might be listening, and maybe they're at a desk job they don't love, they know they want more, freedom, they also value their financial stability, what would be your advice to them? Like, what's one tip or trick or place they can start to kind of figure out maybe a life that would be more fitting for what they truly desire?
So one thing that I would tell them to do is I would actually look at a coach. I would look at getting someone who is going to put a mirror in front of them, hold them accountable, make them do things that they maybe just didn't feel like they had the confidence to do or the support to do. Mm-hmm. Because for me, like I use Laurel House, and it's been great, because there's so many times where she wants me to do something. I'm like, oh gosh, no, that's really putting me outside my comfort zone. And every single time it's always worked. And then I thought, thank goodness I didn't let my inner voice stop me from pushing myself. So I feel that everyone needs to have a coach, whether it's her, whether they come to you, whoever it is, but someone who really can push them and make them dig deep. What's important to you? What do you value? And how can we get to that place where you have a job not only that you love, but something that's one of your passions, that you do have that financial stability. There is days that I love my job in the Navy, and there's days that I do not like it at all. But then I think of all the pros that outweigh it and the things that I get to do. And to me, yes, I'm not my own boss, but then and I don't get to control my life. Like sometimes I don't have an opportunity to get to move, but I learn to make the most of wherever I'm at. And to me, that is more important. So I think it's having someone dig deep and have someone that they can hold them accountable, because it can't be your family. It can't be your friends. Because guess what? They all are all selfish. They want you for themselves, or they want you to do what they want to do. And you need someone who's going to be does not have any of those biases, for starters.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's so true. I don't know. I just like that advice. Because I feel like coaches hold space for you. Like you said, they have zero bias. They have all the desire for you to reach your potential and live out this life in the biggest, bestest, most baddest way that suits you. And they don't really care if you like them, because they're really serving this purpose in your life to support you in reaching your potential or getting out of your box or whatever it is that you want. And so it's really kind of like a nice home to make your dreams come true. It's almost like the only home, either that or some sort of a seminar or something else that holds the same kind of space where you get to look inward, hear what you truly value, what's really important to you, what you really want, what you really need, and then actually be held accountable to make moves on that. I love it, girl. I love that advice. I mean, that's definitely been it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, some people love seminars. I love listening to podcasts and find them inspiring, but sometimes you want something that's really personalized that hits home. And so it's, we all want 26 hours in a 24-hour day. So when you have someone where it's dedicated time, energy, money invested into it, you're going to put that much more energy and that much more thought into it.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's almost like buying your own commitment. It's like when you pay for a personal trainer, you're like, okay, I'll show up. Whereas like if you're like Googling a free YouTube workout, you might do it or you might not. It's kind of like the commitment isn't there. There's no skin in the game.
Right.
Yeah. It's just that coaching's really expensive. So some people can afford it and some people can't. But I guess that's part of it. Like, how much do you want what you want? And are you willing to prioritize your own dreams?
Absolutely. And if people can afford it, I think using podcasts are great.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of great books out there. I am a huge fan of audiobooks. I am reading a book right now called Relentless, where it's kind of finding, to be good, to great, to be relentless is something that I find interesting. And when I hear something that touches me, I write it down. So if it's something I look at every day or read or resonate or I talk about it, you live it, you breathe it. It's kind of like with me over here, you see something, you smell it, you touch it, you feel it, it's really going to resonate a lot stronger when you're using all your senses versus just something that you just kind of see once and that you never really listen to or read again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like it. Relentless. That fits you, Dr. Corinne.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I just love having you on today. Is there any way, like, you have a website or where can people find you? Like if they want to like follow you on social or just like stay connected to you?
So I'm on Instagram at Dr. Corinne Devin, and that's DrCorinne. And I also have a YouTube channel, Dr. Corinne Devin, as well as on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I'm always looking for fantastic opportunities to reach out and speak. One of my passions right now that I really want to get into is motivational speaking. I would love to be in a TED Talk someday. So that is one of my things on my bucket list I'm working up to. So I've spoken here in Italy, Japan, and United States. So any opportunity to really just inspire people and kind of show people that you really can be and do anything. And it doesn't have to be traditional to get there. I was a college cheerleader, turned orthodontist, turned naval officer. And, it's one of those things that I'm really proud of, but I also am more than willing to help people get there because a lot of people took chances on me. And I had a mountain, or I should say a navy, a huge amount of people that got me to where I'm at today.
That's so
thank you so much for having me too.
Yes, totally. Thank you for being with us. And for those of you who listened today, thank you for being part of the party. Check out Dr. Corinne Devin. She's obviously amazing. And you forgot to say turned pageant queen, because that is just like literally rocking my world. I'll have to like stalk your Instagram and look at pictures and stuff because it's so fun. But thank you guys for being with us, and definitely share this podcast if you feel like there's someone you know who might need to hear it, and rate us only if you like us, 5 stars, or let's not do that. Okay. Thank you guys for being with us, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye now.